So how in the world does a quirky green owl build a language learning empire that gets pretty much the entire internet talking? Today, we are diving deep into the Duolingo Playbook. It's a company that has managed to perfectly mix a really serious educational mission with this wild, totally meme-worthy personality. Let's break down how they pulled it off.
It really all kicks off with this quote from the CEO, Louis von Ahn. And look, this isn't just some clever marketing slogan, It is the absolute core philosophy that defines their entire culture. And as we're about to see, it's the real engine behind their incredible success.
And when I say success, I mean success on a massive global scale. Over 800 million total registered users. Just to put that into perspective for you, that is more people than the entire population of North America. This isn't just a popular app, it's a worldwide phenomenon.
Okay, so that brings us to the big question of this whole explainer, right? How does a culture that prides itself on being both wholesome and unhinged create this kind of explosive, world-changing growth? Let's get into it.
So, let's start with the foundation, the culture. To really get Duolingo's success, you first have to understand what this wholesome but unhinged paradox actually looks like day to day.
And this really gets to the heart of it. On one side, you've got the wholesome stuff, this big mission for universal education, a supportive vibe, and a serious focus on learning. But then, on the other side, you have the unhinged part, the quirky humor, the totally unexpected experiments, and viral marketing. It's the tension between these two that creates the Duolingo magic.
And listen, this culture wasn't just created overnight, it evolved. They started out as, and I'm quoting them here, 20 nerds in an office above a sports bar, just thriving in chaos. Now, as they grew to over 850 people all over the world, they had to professionalize, right? They added structure and formal HR policies. But here's the crucial part. They did it without killing that original quirky spirit.
So how do you scale a spirit like that without losing it? Well, after 14 years of trial and error, they basically wrote down the recipe. They created the Duolingo Handbook, and we're going to take a peek inside. Now, this is not your typical dusty corporate manual that's filled with jargon. No way. It's the exact opposite. It's a collection of real, hard-won lessons learned from more than a decade of trying stuff out. This is the playbook that powers their success.
And right at the core of this whole handbook, you've got these 5 principles. They're simple, they're direct, and they guide every single decision made at the company, from who they hire to how they design the app.
Okay, so having principles on a page is one thing, but how do they actually translate to the real world? Let's look at how Duolingo puts these ideas into practice every single day.
The first principle is absolutely foundational. Take the long view. This means Duolingo is constantly saying no to short-term gains like cramming the app with ads if those choices could hurt their long-term mission of creating a forever product that people truly love.
And this quote, wow, it just brilliantly illustrates their approach to building a team. This is straight from their handbook. They're saying they would much rather leave a position open, a hole, than rush to hire someone who isn't a perfect cultural fit. It is all about building a team that's going to last.
Next up, we've got a principle that anyone who's ever used the app will recognize immediately. Make it fun. This is just so deeply woven into the DNA of both their product and their public brand.
They're absolute masters at turning what could be a chore into a game. They use things like streaks, leaderboards, and little rewards to keep you coming back. And it's not just for people learning on their own. As you can see with Duolingo for schools, they bring that exact same playful, gamified energy right into the classroom. It just proves that effective learning can, and probably should, be fun.
But don't let all this fun make you think they move slowly. Oh no, that brings us to the third principle, ship it. This is all about keeping up a sense of urgency, moving fast, and having this relentless culture of experimentation.
And the engine behind all this speed is A/B testing. Basically, they compare different versions of features to see what actually works best for users. But it's the scale at which they do it that's just incredible. They run hundreds of these experiments every single week. This is how they learn and iterate at lightning speed. Okay, so you've got the culture and you've got the principles. But how do you turn all of that into a well-oiled product-building engine? At Duolingo, they call it the Green Machine. This is their 6-step framework for getting things done, and it's what turns their principles into actual products. It all starts with hiring exceptional people and then giving them real ownership. Next, they define what success looks like right up front, with clear, measurable goals. They set guardrails to stay focused on the long term, and then they just build, test, and relentlessly refine. The key is to move fast without sacrificing quality, and then be totally ruthless about doubling down on what works and cutting what doesn't.
It's just this continuous loop of innovation.
So, does all this wholesome but unhinged culture and relentless experimenting actually pay off? Well, let's just say the numbers speak for themselves. In the 2024 financial year, Duolingo reported revenue of $748 million. This proves that their unique approach isn't just a cultural success story, it is a financial powerhouse.
And this chart really puts that number into perspective. That's a 41% increase in revenue from the year before. This kind of explosive growth is the direct result of the culture and the discipline process we've just broken down.
So here's the crucial point. Duolingo's success isn't based on some secret hack or a magic trick. It's about executing the fundamentals, a clear mission, constant experimentation, and a perfectly aligned culture with just world-class excellence.
And all of this leaves us with one big provocative question to think about. In a world where authenticity and user engagement are more valuable than ever, is this unique blend of wholesome but unhinged the new blueprint for building the next generation of successful companies?